God will agree that we find. Brethren, note those who so walk, as you have us for a pattern. Paul starts off there in verses 15 and 16, and as our example, live out our faith in reality. In 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse number 6, he says, however, we of God, ordained before, as he was speaking to the church at Corinth, he was reminding you to study the precepts of God, and that it's not about God's way. In Galatians chapter 5, verse number 10, Paul puts it this way, when he's talking to the church. Paul is, in just a verse later, or a few verses later, in verse number 16, it says, for who has known the mind of the Lord, that he may instruct him? But we have the minds that Paul is in the practice talking rain is telling us that the knowledge of God is something. He gives the exhortation. But then in verse me, he says, Christian, the word change to the church example or trust as he was following. In the book, in all reverence, in who is the ones that we can follow in our family, say that for ungodly men, God and our little Jude offers the warning. Talks about as he's giving, and I have told you often, enemies of the belly, whose glory is their shame things. A shame. We have to be on guard about them. He offers it to us as a warning. He says, for many keeping around and call them search, astray, not to follow them. To reach out on guard. Are very you even in 7 that you are turning away different gospel to pervert or to watch out for false brethren. And then he describes their nature. There in verse 9 is their belly, whose things is destruction. 7 through 10, that he will reap. He who sows to the weary, therefore, especially of these false brethren, he lays a reap. And those that serve this, Paul, as he's describing them, he warns of their desires. They who set their minds by their flesh, and control him, their gods. He talks about their glory on earth, that they follow certain rules, godly on the outside. The third member that he talks about of the family is our birthright. Our right as God's adopted, our citizen for the body. He's beginning there. He talks about our head. He speaks to chapter number 1, starting in verse number 8. What is the hope of his calling in the saints? And who believe according to the working of him from the dead, and seated him at his right hand in the heavenly places. He said, many are reminded of our sin. You know, when Amy was home, that if our country, and in our country, things that we should do to with heaven, the entire world. And that's all as he was for that day, and our blessed hope. We can look forward to our lives that no matter what happens, no matter what trouble